Good evening, everybody. This is Sweat, and welcome to another episode of Warrior Wednesday. Also wanted to let you guys know that this series will not necessarily be every Wednesday, but it is something I want to incorporate as often as possible, as much as I can. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope you guys are enjoying the video. This is actually me using keyboard and mouse on PC. For those of you who may be new to my channel, I play Battlefield 3 on PC, and I use a controller because it just feels more natural to me, but I didn't have it plugged in. It's just another day where I decided to try to use keyboard and mouse a little bit, go on some really good tears. Don't really show you too many of as many of the fails as I have, so I hope you guys are at least able to enjoy this. Anyway, let's talk about Warrior Wednesday, and today I want to finish up what I was talking about with Carlos Hathcock, which is really one of the reasons I wanted to do a series to begin with. Now, I might not be able to do as many episodes after I cover Carlos Hathcock because, to be honest with you, nobody has not any one particular story or person has been as big an influence on me as Carlos Hathcock and me joining the Marine Corps. Now, for those of you who don't know, I believe Carlos Hathcock, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he was born in Arkansas. I think his parents divorced and separated, and he lived either with his mom or his grandmother, if I'm not mistaken. And being that only male figure in his house, often he was forced to provide for his family, and he did that by hunting. He did that by tracking game and by shooting wild animals. And that's something that I can relate to. I did quite a bit of hunting whenever I was a kid. After my parents divorced, I believe I was in the second grade. I withdrew from basketball and baseball. I thought I was pretty good at them. Made an all-star team or two when I was a kid. But I withdrew from that, and it was a few different reasons. I felt like punishing myself or punishing my family. I don't know. Being a kid, just not wanting to do anything like that anymore. Divorces have strange effects and different effects on a lot of different people, so I can't say that I speak for everybody. But anyway, there were a lot of different factors that I was able to imitate Carlos Hathcock in, and I was able to relate to Carlos Hathcock in. Not quite sure why I shot that dead guy on the ground. If I maybe would have looked up, I'd have survived that whole encounter. One way definitely is again, after my parents' divorce, I spent a lot more time outdoors. Spent a lot more time in the woods keeping to myself, especially after I dropped out of sports. It's just what I wanted to do, is what I enjoy doing. That's how I filled my free time in the summers and even in the fall and stuff whenever I'd get home from school. Another way I was able to relate or another way I was able to learn more about Carlos Hathcock is after that, we, again, weren't able to buy all the video games. Like I said earlier, I wasn't able to afford all the things that I wanted to do as far as entertainment. So we read. I learned to read. I didn't learn to read. I began to read a lot more. I began to read a whole lot more. I would bug my mom all the time to take me to the library. I was always reading in school. In fact, my mother used to get calls from my teachers. My mother being a teacher in the same school system, used to get calls from teachers all the time saying that her son, me, was sitting in class with the textbook open while the rest of the class was reading the textbook, and I had my war stories and my war books, like that Marine Sniper book about Carlos Hathcock and his, even from his early childhood all the way up until after he got out of the Marine Corps. I would have those books open in my textbooks and reading them, and I would get in trouble for it all the time. I remember I was so happy when we got to World War II at one point. In the 5th grade, if I'm not mistaken, because the teacher realized that I probably knew more about the subject than she did, and she just basically let me go up there, show me her lesson plan, and let me go up there and tell about it because of how excited I was to tell the story. So that's how I began to really learn about Carlos Hathcock. Even at a really young age, I was able to learn about him, and I imitated everything he did. And it eventually, led up to me joining the Marine Corps. Now, I'm not going to say it's the only factor because I was in Marine Corps Junior ROTC in high school. But there was a couple reasons behind that. The colonel that was in charge of the ROTC program actually lived about 3 or 4 houses down from me when I was growing up, so that was also a huge factor. But I remember reading the story in the book about Hathcock, how he was, he'd have his rabbit swinging in one hand, and he'd have like perfect left shoulder arms with the other hand. His rifle held at the perfect position with his elbows and his arms bent at a perfect 45 degree angle as a kid, and as a kid, that's what I tried to imitate. I remember hearing the stories about, or my mom telling me she knew it a long time ago. You know, whenever she'd see me holding those rifles like that, that the military was always something that she thought would be in my future. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. That's kind of what this series is supposed to be about. That's what I want to do with this, is the influences and the factors that all these war stories and how I learned all this history and why it is such an important factor to me. And to do it a little bit more informally than what I do on Core Classified. For those of you who don't realize, I did an episode on Carlos Hathcock and a particular mission where he had to assassinate a general far behind enemy lines. That's that video on the right. If you want to click that, it's on Machinima Respawn over a year ago. And the video on the left is Military Monday, which is very, very highly rated. I hope you guys enjoy that. I just take you guys questions that you have in Twitter and Facebook and on this YouTube channel, and I try to answer whatever questions you guys have about the military. But thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy this video, I encourage you to please hit that like button and possibly share it, because it really would help the channel out, and I would certainly appreciate it. But thank you guys for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you again soon.